Hey, Jeremiah. Hey, Nicole. Hey, Kent. I don't know why this song was on my heart today. Living a single life. Yes. Hey, Deborah. All right, let's get Angel on here.
Can you see me?
I can see you. Hey, pretty lady.
Can you hear me also?
I can hear you. Yeah. Hey, Jeff.
Okay.
All right. You know, I was grooving to this song. I don't know why this song was on me. Go, Angel. Go, Angel. Go, Angel.
I took it back. Did the snake for y'all. Hi, Jeremiah.
Yeah. Hey, Jeremiah. All right, let me share this on my Facebook page and then we can get started.
So how do you do it? You open up your laptop too?
Huh?
Do you also open up your laptop?
Yeah, I'm using my iPad.
Oh,
And
hi, Miss Deborah.
hi. Hey, Jennifer. Okay, let me share this to the Walking in Wholeness. Okay, hold on. So much technology going on. Okay, here we go. Boom.
You
We got it.
fancy.
I know, huh? Okay, we got Yes. Hey, Catherine. Got some people on here today. I'm excited. It's going to be a
Let
good
me see. Let me
conversation.
scroll.
Huh? You scrolling to
I said,
see who?
let me scroll.
Hey, Trinace, Nikki Richardson, girl.
I am honored by your presence, Miss Trinace.
All right, so let us get on started here because this is going to be a good conversation. This is my sister girlfriend,
Hey.
Angel Brown. Yeah, this is going to be good, Jeremiah. This is real good. So, for those who are just tuning in, I am Siobhan Carter, the U Relationship Coach and founder of Walking in Wholeness LLC. And I am passionate about healthy relationships. I call myself the U Relationship Coach because I help women enhance their capacity to love on themselves, to find their voice, and to relate to others. So that's why I have these conversations. That's why I post questions and inspirational quotes every day, just because, I want to inspire people to have healthy relationships and have dialogue and interaction. So, so that's a little bit about me. And don't let me forget, Dear Miss Wholeness, my book that I published in May of this year, which is a story about my life and all the drama that I've been through in relationships, and how it has really birthed my purpose in walking in wholeness. So it's a juicy page turner, honey. I tell all my business in it. So if you nosy, just get it because it'll tell. So that's enough about me. Let's hear about you. Tell us you, Angel.
Well, first let me say I read the book. The book is the bomb. Everybody needs to get the book. Get the book.
Yes.
Okay, let's start there. Um, so I'm Angel. I'm friends with Siobhan, Yvonne, Vonnie, all those wonderful affectionate names that I call her. And what is it about me? I'm a Black woman. I love that.
Yes, you
I'm
are.
37. I am a realtor and also an environmentalist.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a
A bomb
hmm?
realtor. I said a
Oh,
bomb. Yes.
thank
Mm-hmm.
you. Do people still raise the roof? Because I just did that.
Huh?
I said, do people still raise the roof? Because I just did that.
Sure, we can do that.
Um,
Reese,
so I
Reese
have
and they'll probably say no, don't do that. But
of
it's
course, I'm gonna be held accountable shortly.
right.
Um, I have a personal motto that I stole from a commercial. I'm not standard,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes just for the sake of not being standard, that I do things, but I'm not standard. And then
Mhm.
I have a life theme of sustainability. So I sustain my money, by couponing and saving, and I sustain my health by eating healthily and working out, and I sustain my relationships by pouring into them and cultivating them. So just all throughout my life, sustainability is the one thing. I sustain the earth by being conscious and recycling and doing things like that. So that's the
Do not,
theme kind of my life.
yes, please recycle around Angel because she does not play about the environment.
I will
Yes.
hold you accountable. I will. It's not a game. Um, and lastly, my life purpose is love,
Yes, it
to love on
is.
people. Yeah.
Yes, 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 yes. And that's why I'm so happy to talk to you today because that is your life purpose, like for real, in real life. And you live by that. I have experienced it. I've seen it over the years that we've been friends. So tell the people just a little bit of how we know each other.
So I'm pretty certain we met in dance ministry
Mhm.
at Zion, and then we have a girlfriend group,
Yeah.
and they took me in like a little lost puppy dog and said, "You can be friends with us," and it was awesome. So we've been hanging real tough. So of course church and through dance, and then Miss Vani is one of my wise council members. I consider you a trusted confidant, and I also was coached through Walking in Wholeness, and that definitely kicked off and helped my journey uh, to and through love. Yeah,
Yes.
it was invaluable. So I'm
Mm,
plugging that for sure, for sure.
thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes.
Mhm.
And Trinae says she loves your life motto. I'm not standard sustainability. Love. Yes.
Thank you, Miss Trinae. I
Hmm.
appreciate that.
So
Oh,
while we're
Jeremiah said I can raise the roof.
yes, yes, you can. Yes. He said, nice plug. Yes. Thank you. So while we're talking about love, that's the first thing I want to talk about because you have a hashtag that has really been coined as your phrase. So tell us about that. And that hashtag is I believe in love. And so tell us about that, where that comes from and why that's your one of your life mottos.
Yeah, so first of all, I gotta tell y'all, I got real sized because if anyone saw Wonder Woman, at the
Yeah.
end of that movie, she says, I believe in love. So somebody tried to challenge her and her beliefs and what the world was going to be like, and there's no point in this and that. And she was like, no, I believe in love. I all about hollered in the daggone movie theater when I heard her say it.
Yes, yes, you know
Um,
I do too.
exactly. So, I did a lot of, I guess, relational mistakes and things like that. And I began to internalize those mistakes and be really hard on myself. And I decided that I wasn't okay with staying in that space. And
Mm,
so I decided to seek um, help.
mm,
And one of the ways was, getting life coaching. That
mm.
was really helpful. And then really just trying to pour into my spirituality.
Yeah.
And I'm a Christian. I don't know that everybody on here is,
Mm,
but I am. And so one of the ways that I decided to do my, research on how to be better and how to feel better and live better was by reading the Bible.
mm,
So a few years ago, I did the Bible in a year,
mhm.
and the one thing that was glaring throughout all the scriptures and all the boring passages and all the, juicy stuff and all the hard stuff was love.
Mm.
And I heard God telling me, if I just get that right,
Wow.
then I've done what I was supposed to do on earth.
Wow.
And I kept hearing it over and over again, kept jumping out at me. So I
Mhm.
said, all right, I'm on a journey now to make sure that everybody I know knows I love them. And then from then, it really became about people. I want
Mm,
people to know they are loved. It doesn't even matter if you have a personal relationship with me or not. That is
mm-hmm.
the message that I'm spreading. There's not enough of it going
Yeah.
on out there.
Mm,
Um, so really, that's where it came from. That was a message I feel like I got from reading the Bible that I was
mm.
supposed to love on earth.
Wow, wow. And when I tell you, like, you embody love, like it emanates from you, like just being in close circles and communication with you, like it just, you are love. You love people, you make people feel love, you make people feel special and just, wanted and needed and welcomed, and just you're always smiling, so it's like
Mhm.
really embraced that and took that on. So thank you for, listening to God and then being, his hands and feet on this earth to share that with other people.
I really, really, really appreciate that. And I don't, and like I said, it doesn't even necessarily have anything to do with me. But if you
Yeah.
can feel it, hopefully a whole bunch of people can feel it. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah. So what would you say to someone who no longer believes in love because of what they've been through in their past relationships?
So I guess my first question would be, are you okay being in that space?
Hmm.
Like, if you're fine there and that's just where you want to dwell right now,
Hmm.
don't change a thing.
Yeah.
But if you're legit, looking for something different,
Hmm.
um, the beauty of it is that you can take back control of that portion of your life.
Hmm.
I'm really big on choices,
Yeah.
and you can choose to do the work of getting back to a place where you believe in love.
Hmm.
Um, One of the things is you're going to have to start healing some of the things that have gone on in your past, whether it's been done to you or whether you've done it or whatever is the case. Um, which is why I had gone through life coaching and all of that.
Hmm.
I wanted to do the work. I
Yeah.
wasn't okay staying in that space.
Hmm.
And it's not going to be easy. You got to confront some things,
Hmm.
and you got to dig down and deep and recall some things you wanted to push, back and
Hmm.
forgive yourself. That
Yeah.
was the thing I think was the hardest thing for me is forgiving myself for a lot of, my behaviors and
Hmm.
things like that. But like I said, you can take control. You can do the work of getting healed, and
Hmm.
after you're getting healed, you can do the work of learning to make better choices in your relationships,
Hmm.
and that is the first step to you know um, being able to believe in love again. I mean, like
Yeah.
you said, for your your thing that you push is a healthy relationship with anybody else starts with you.
That's with you. Yep. Hmm.
Do you
Yep.
love you?
Because that's where it starts, and that's why I'm so passionate about that, because a lot of times we go, and me, and I'll start with me. I would go out looking for love from other people, thinking that they were my source. So I went from relationship to relationship, thinking that a man was my source of love. And I would hear all the time, "Oh, God is love," and you love yourself, and I would hear that over and over, but I didn't have the how. So
Yeah.
I did what I knew how to do. And so it, like you said, it started the work of really getting to know who I am. And it's a continual work of getting to know who I am and seeing that everything that I need is within me. God's spirit is within me. My soul is there to tell me what it needs and just all that stuff. So I don't have to go out externally to find it. Yes, it would be nice to be in a relationship, but I don't
Mhm.
need that to sustain me. So that's what I love about your journey, that you recognize where you are, you recognize the choices that you made, and you said, hey, I don't want to stay here. I want to make different choices. So let me begin the work of doing that. So,
Mhm.
Jeremiah asked a question that I thought was interesting. Can you be healed from love but still not desire to be in love again?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Healed from love or healed from some
Probably
hurt from a love that you had before.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. Past relationship.
Um, yeah, the thing about it is, love is awesome independent of being in love, because I do think there's a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you can practice um, loving on yourself and loving on others, loving on, kids in your life, just loving on your coworkers, or, just serving in some other way.
Mm-hmm.
And that is love in itself. And that might end up being your sole focus. And
Yeah.
you don't choose to be. I associate being in love with like romance and like romantic relationships. So if that's
Mm-hmm.
what you mean, you can most certainly be healed from some past hurts, and practice loving on people without it being a romantic thing.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
honestly believe that. Hmm.
Yeah, I totally believe that too, because I think, and I was watching, I don't know if you saw that article today about Tracy Ellis Ross when she did a talk just about being 45, not married, no kids, and how people look at her like she's crazy and like, when you going to get married? When you going to have kids? And in that, I love how she talked about the importance of just living her life, and she's like, I've done all of these things. I have, won awards, and I have been in movies and on TV shows, and I have, done great things for people, but
Hmm.
yet people still act like that's not enough because I don't have kids and I'm not married.
Yeah.
So I think that was so huge, because I think sometimes we put people in a box and say, oh, well, you can't be happy, or you can't love, or you can't find love um, outside of the context of a relationship, a romantic relationship. And it's like,
Hmm.
absolutely you can. There's so many
Right.
other people you love. You can love yourself. Like you said, you can love other people. So I love that she's putting that out there to encourage singles who may not desire to be married, or who may desire but just haven't met that person for them yet, and that they can still thrive in their singleness, and just
Mhm.
enjoy life.
And you
Hmm.
should. So the other thing about it is, so when I started, when I got the message and started my I Believe in Love journey, I was
Hmm.
single. I was absolutely not in love with anybody, or anything like that. And so you can absolutely practice love
Hmm.
and love on people without even the interest of a romantic relationship. I
Yeah.
did it myself. I'm thinking about it. And the thing about it is, if later you want to be in a romantic relationship, now
Hmm.
you're already in the practice of loving on people, and you can be more effective at it once you're in the relationship.
Come on, Angel. Yes. Yes.
Look, you mess.
So good. That's the beauty of it, because like you said, it's a practice. It's something that we teach ourselves how to do. We're practicing it. We don't always get it right, but as we work it out and walk it out in real life, then we get to experience that, and it's more effective, when we choose to get into a romantic relationship. So it's
Yeah,
just,
I love
man,
that.
yeah, I love that. So, and tell us about that before we get into your beautiful, amazing romantic relationship. Tell us about, tell us about you thriving as a single. Like, before you got into that relationship, what was your life like? How did it thrive?
Um, so, I decided to see what was up with the other relationships in my life.
Hmm.
Um, so I was, spending more time with my family, and having spending more time with my homegirls, and um, spending more time on my business, and things like that. So there were definitely things that needed my attention,
Hmm.
that weren't getting it before, and now since I had refocused my energies, I could give it more attention, and that kind of kept me busy, so to speak. Um, and so that's how I was able to um, I guess you could call it thrive, as a single person. Those
Hmm.
energies were directed, somewhere else.
Yeah, and you travel because you are a world traveler. Like, you definitely gets
Okay.
on.
Look, I, I'm talking about how I sustain my money. I save it all up, and then I go on a daggone trip and spend it just like that.
Yeah. You work to travel. I know that's right.
I be getting right. That's exactly right. Let me earn some money so I can get up out of here.
I know that's right. But I love it because it just, you've been everywhere. You're always doing things and just experiencing life and living life, and it just seems so full and rich, just from being in close contact with you and just seeing, how you live. It's so full. Mm,
I by no means have it all figured out, but
yeah,
I'm having fun right now, that's for sure.
yeah, yeah. I know that's right. No, that's right. So, okay. So prior to your current relationship that you're in now, you had a really effective way of dating that incorporated like setting boundaries and making sure figuring out when somebody just needed to go, like, they not for me. So tell us how you did that.
So I bought a can of Joker repellent. No, I got that from you. You gave me the term Joker repellent.
I did.
Um, yeah, a while it was a couple years ago, but I
That's
definitely got that from you because it's the memory came back up in my feed not too long ago.
that's hilarious.
Um, but I again through studying, so
Mm,
I like to learn.
mm,
Um, and so when I want to know something, I research it real
mm,
good. And
mhm.
so I was paying attention to what I was learning, in my church. I was reading books about the relationships. I was asking for recommendations. People were, sending me stuff. So I
Mhm,
really kind of got, I treated it like school. Like if I want something different, I got to
mhm.
go about this a different way. And so um, the number one thing that I had to learn was everyone is not the one.
Uh,
So it's hard when you actually are looking, to
mm,
be in a relationship.
mhm,
You want to take every person that you go out on a date with through the,
mm.
and give them all of your focus. I'm like, you've been on one date with the Joker,
Right. Like
and
that's
now
him.
you trying to match him up. Like, cause I
Right.
don't feel like it no more. So you gonna be it.
Right.
So I
First date
had to learn.
already.
Say that again.
I said it's my first date, but I'm tired of dating already. Like, really? You ain't learned
Right.
nothing?
They, it was not that, dating is, I'm not cut out for dating for real. But
Mm,
going on with a bunch of people and all that stuff. So I had to, number one, everyone is not the one. So I had
yeah.
to let that theory go,
Mm,
and just look at it as this is a person that I'm coming in contact with. They're an acquaintance. They may end up being a friend, and it may blossom from there. Like,
mhm,
let the relationship take baby steps. You know what I
mm,
mean? Let this interaction take baby steps.
mhm,
Don't go 0 to 100.
mhm,
And then the other thing was that I am actually in control. I can be a decision maker in this process. So I
yes.
remember my cousin, I was talking to her about this guy, and he was definitely not it.
Mhm,
And had showed me all the signs, but I kept going out with him.
mhm,
I don't know. That was back when I thought everybody was the one, right?
mhm,
Um, And she had asked me about him, and I was kind of like, I'm kind of waiting for it to fizzle out. I know it's not going to be nothing, but whatever. And she
mhm.
was like, you can make that decision, right?
Wow.
And I was like, bing. And I literally called him immediately and was like, I don't think we should date anymore.
I had,
Um,
a-
and
I had a realization. I came to myself, and we decided.
exactly. Me, myself, and I have made a
Yeah.
determination. But I honest to God, didn't think of it that way. Like,
Mm,
I'm in control of this situation. I
wow.
determine, you know what I mean? What is good for me and working for me and what is not.
Yeah.
Um, and that was so freeing that I
Mm,
could be the one to say, I mean, we tried, it didn't
yeah.
work, you know?
Yeah.
That was
Mhm.
such an epiphany for me.
Mm,
Um, the some of the other just practical things I did was like run stuff past my homegirls,
mhm.
people that I trust, my wise counsel, not, you know,
Mhm.
people that don't have my best interests at heart and people that's gonna be hating and all that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I have some trusted confidants, and I will run stuff by y'all. um, and then just pay attention to red flags. I mean, there are things I said I wanted,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily like this checklist, but I do have some minimum standards, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And if people didn't meet that,
Mm-hmm.
it was nice to have a conversation with you, but it doesn't go past here. Or it was nice to even one guy, we had gone out on a couple of dates and I was really trying, but
Mm-hmm.
he was just only going to ever be my friend. And I
Mm-hmm.
just had to own that and be
Yeah.
okay expressing that to him.
Mm-hmm.
And we had been out maybe like 6 times, had a lot of fun. He's a good dude,
Mm-hmm.
but I just couldn't grow romantic feelings for him.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I was empowered by my cousin to be
Mm-hmm.
able to say, I only see you as a friend and we shouldn't, go any further than this if you need more, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out that he was not interested in being just friends. So, you know.
Man, so you've said so many good things that I want to point out. One, which I think kind of um, goes back to what your life kind of morphed into as far as your motto of I believe in love. And when you said you treat people just as people, seeing people as individuals and wanting to love on them. So it sounds like you took that into, your dating life and just started out with just seeing them as individuals, after, you got out of the mindset of, every man is not the one. So it's like, okay, let me relate to you as just a human being, as just another person who I can enjoy the company of, get to know. And I think that is so key, just that foundation of let me get to know who you are, not
Mhm.
what you have to offer me and, what you're bringing to the table and all this stuff. And here go my list and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, you
Mhm.
had things in the back of your mind, but it's like, before I even get into all that, who are you? Let's just relate to each other as human beings. And I just feel like that is so good and so important to do. And then the other thing is just the power of choice and the power that you have as an individual to decide who is for you and who's not. And I think a lot of times we don't operate in that power. Like
Mhm.
we become so powerless when it comes to relationships. I'm waiting on him to find me,
Mhm.
or, I can't ask him out. I can't do this because he got to do everything. And that just makes us so powerless. Well, what is my role in this? What do I have the power to do? And I think you owning that and saying, hey, this is cool, but it's still not jiving with what I say I truly want. So let me just, end things here, not waste your time, not waste my time. It's been real, I enjoy hanging out with you, but this just isn't for me. I don't see this going any further. And I think that is so huge as far as communication goes, just to be able to communicate that effectively and just, be like, okay, it's been cool. So I
Mhm.
love, that about your story and how you did that.
It
So
takes
yeah.
so much pressure off.
Hmm.
It relieves all that pressure. It's like, do I even like you as a
Hmm.
person
Yeah.
before we start trying to figure out if I want to be romantic with you? You know?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And Anthony said, yep, choices, options, and decisions. And it's so refreshing to hear from women knowing this about themselves. Yeah, we got to know, we got to know who we are so that we can know what we want and when, certain things just don't align with our core values. And that's been the lesson for me, even now, just getting in tune with who I am and what my values are and not compromising on that, like I just can't. As much as I've tried to and all that, and I'll admit I have tried to like settle. Okay, maybe I can compromise and maybe I can give and take, but it's like nah. What's true at my core, I just can't. I'm not going to be happy within myself if I settle or if I compromise. So I'd rather just bow out gracefully. It's been fun, but I really need to make sure that I'm being true to who I am at my core. So yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yes. So, so for your past experience, how would you say that they have prepared you for your current relationship that you're in now?
Um, so definitely in a lot of ways, I had to, like you were just saying, learn me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had to learn about myself and ask myself some hard questions and spend time with myself
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, be best friends with myself and
Yeah.
all of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, and then, so what realistically, and this is, I know it's going to sound funny,
Mm-hmm.
but I did a SWOT analysis on myself. So if
Okay.
you're in business world, you know that's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And
Mm-hmm.
so I did a SWOT analysis on myself.
Mm-hmm.
And who was I in these past relationships? What did I contribute to the way they went down? Um, you know, what did they contribute? And
Mm-hmm.
be real about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Because I had to own some stuff. I really did.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then, you know, I notated red flags and learned how to recognize them earlier and earlier.
Mm-hmm.
It was a funny story. I was at a wedding not too long ago as a guest, and this guy was like, I guess coming on to me or whatever, trying to pick me up. Um, now he was literally probably 40 years older than me, so it wasn't gonna happen anyway. But
Wait, 40 years older?
yes,
Not just
he
40
was
years, 40 years
no,
older.
he was like 40 years older.
No,
So
ma'am.
it was a no from the get. But but just his whole pickup game was like riddled with red flags because he had said something about he had like held the door for me or something, and he was like, well, now you owe me a dance. And I'm like, well, first of all, I don't owe you anything.
No,
You know what
I
I
don't.
mean? So so it's, to me, you know, that's tit for tat. Now we're tit for tat. That's not the kind of interaction I'm looking for. You know what I
Right,
mean? And
right.
and he said, like, you better do something, something. Well, first of all, so now we're in a control situation. You know what I mean? Just riddled with stuff that would never go down. You know what I mean? So,
Exactly.
and of course, he chased me around the reception hall the whole night, and I just kept like brushing him off or whatever the case. And he was like, if I see you again, you know, da da da. Da. So now you're
Mm.
not respecting my boundaries. You know what I mean? So it's just riddled with
Yeah,
red flags.
come on, you better pick up on the red flags and call them out. Yes.
So So, and I'm like, that's just in that one little interaction. So I just had to learn to pick up on those things earlier, and that prepped me. But also, you know, I had to learn to recognize the good and the great and the, you know, I don't know what blue flags. I don't know what the good flags are,
Yeah,
but
how the color flag? What would that be?
I have
Uh,
no idea.
green flag,
Pink
maybe green
flag,
for go. Yeah,
green,
green flag.
green for go. So I had to pick up on that stuff too and really call out and write down all the things that I appreciate about
Mm,
someone when it's going in the right direction.
yeah.
And being honest about it, watching people's consistencies and their inconsistencies.
Mm,
That was a big one for me, which you know, I still do that in all of my relationships, but
hmm.
particularly in a romantic relationship.
Yeah.
I'm watching you.
I
Can
know
you see
that's
that?
right. That's
I'm
all.
watching you. Yeah. So just being able to pick out the good and the bad, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I think that is so key. And it sounds like what I'm getting from this conversation is that you became a student of dating and also of yourself and of life. Like you said, you picked up books, you started reading, you noticed that you wanted to do something different. So you were like, let me find, a model or other ways of perceiving or looking at this so that I can choose differently. And I think that is so important. Like a lot of times we say we want differently, but what are we really doing to change the course of our life? Like what are we
Mhm.
really doing about it? We complain that we don't like how things are, but are you really actively doing something about it to shift, the course of your life? Because like you said, we have the control. Now, it doesn't
Mhm.
mean that it will result in meeting someone right away, but at least I can shift my perspective, if nothing else, to
Mhm.
thrive in my life and just enjoy, the life that I'm living and just start to pick up on things. Like you said, like reading all these books and learning about yourself and watching people and being observant. It's like, no, I know what that looked like. I see
Right.
that. That is
Use a
not
joker. Use a joker. No.
exactly right. And then then also picking up on those things that like, I see that consistency. You looking real consistent today. Yes, that's real sexy.
Absolutely.
So it's like, I think that is amazing just to be able to kind of sit back and be a student of things that you want to change in your life. So with all that said, tell us
Mhm.
about your new relationship and how that has been different. Ooh! How the relationship is different from your past experiences.
I'm so happy, y'all.
Ooh,
I
it's
really,
all over
really
your face. Ooh.
am. So this is what's funny. He tells the story. I almost messed it up. So we met some years ago, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like back when I was I guess right before I had really got into trying to do the work. So the timing just, wasn't right for me. So, and it
Mm-hmm.
was kind of like exchange business cards kind of thing. Like it wasn't even I hadn't picked up on it necessarily as him eventually wanting to take me out.
Mm-hmm.
So that was 2 years ago. Fast forward, we ended up reconnecting, um, and 2 years, oh, now 3 years ago. So 2 years, that was 2014,
Mm-hmm.
that we met. And then 2 years later, we had reconnected and, gone out to lunch. And I had already like been dealing with some jokers and just had cut off one joker. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna just chill
Yeah.
and not even worry about it. Let me do some other things with myself. And so I kind of was brushing him off a little bit, unfortunately. Um, and when I really, but he held me accountable about that
Hmm.
and was like, you gonna respond to this text or you gonna call me back or whatever's the deal, you know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
legit would not have had he not held me accountable.
Yeah.
Um, and so it kind of that was the first thing for me. Like it wasn't a, oh, well, if she ain't gonna respond, I ain't gonna respond kind of thing. It was a
Mm-hmm.
different level of maturity in that regard. And
Mm-hmm.
then that consistency. So um, he would, call me every so often and would take the initiative to make dates. He has always been a great communicator,
Mm-hmm.
which was super important to me because I
Yeah.
feel like I am an effective communicator, and so I need someone who can communicate well, also.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so it was, I would watch for things like that. And then after a little while is when I determined, okay, I can start asking my homegirls about him because I'm going to see him more than once, kind of thing. And,
Yeah.
I would get some and then give some feedback. And then, I was checking in with his spirituality and where he was and I mean, like religion and that type of thing, and where he
Mm-hmm.
was and how he treated other people was really important to me. So I was kind of watching for that.
Mm-hmm.
And this is to me, a slow progression of how things were going. And
Yeah.
it just was everything was kind of clicking, like everything I had questions about. And then I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna have to start talking to God about you because
Mm-hmm.
I'm, I'm feeling you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And he was always very upfront about his intent. That was super important to me.
Mm-hmm.
Where he would literally check in with me like, I like where this is going. I would like
Mm-hmm.
to date you exclusively now. How do you feel about that? And
Yes.
you know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it was like legit, like that, that, plain. No
Mm-hmm.
ambiguity,
Yeah.
no guessing, no, he called, let me wait 2 days before I text him back, no pressure.
This was some
Um,
type relationship type stuff. This is adult dating. Like he was real
it's
mature.
adult.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny because I tell my girls sometimes, I'm like, yo, this is the first dude I've dated that's more mature than me. I don't even know what to do with this.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Seriously. Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, and still today, so it's a year and some months now.
Mm-hmm.
And still today, this is the man I'm dating.
Wow.
This is the man. that
Consistent.
I'm dating. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's
Hmm.
been super good. And then everyone, like I said, I've been checking in with God about him and
Mm.
getting, confirmations and things like that, and in the way that God speaks to me, and like still checking in with my friends, my family.
Yeah.
That was something that was important to me because to me, my family was a good indicator. I don't have one of those families that doesn't care to, what's about who I'm seeing. They
Right.
will be like, yo, get rid of him. He sucks. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing?
Right.
Um, and particularly my uncle. And when he gave him the go ahead, I said, "Oh Lord, what done happened? I don't even know if I was ready for
Right.
everybody to give the go ahead." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so it's literally been awesome. And that doesn't mean everything is perfect 100% of the time.
Right.
Um, but like I said, we are good communicators, and
Mm-hmm.
so we can have a discussion about things and
Mm-hmm.
come to a resolution. And if there is no resolution, we can come to a compromise and
Mm-hmm.
all of those things. And we're just headed in the right direction, and um, it's just all good. It's all
Yeah.
good, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. So it's like things just fell into place. You didn't have to force it. You didn't have to, question it so much of what is this. Like it was clear. It was peaceful. It flowed. Like you said, you went through your process of kind of going through like a vetting process,
Mm-hmm.
almost of just making sure that this is the one for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's so important too, because a lot of times we get into these relationships and it's like, we ain't talked to nobody. I know I have. I ain't
Right.
talked to nobody, or if I did talk to somebody, I had already made a decision myself. So even if
Right.
somebody says that, that's real good, that's from the devil, that's not God. So I'm going,
Right. Right. I've definitely done that.
exactly, but yeah, so I love
So
how it fell into place.
there's also something else that I accidentally like left out. So
Hmm.
part of my journey was preparing for the unknown. I knew what I wanted and
Hmm.
I knew what I was believing God for, um, but I wanted to be ready when it got here. You know
Come
what I
on.
mean?
Yeah.
So, and this was stuff that I had learned in books and from talking to people and discussing it with my wise counsel. Like I needed
Hmm.
to get my money right. I needed to
Hmm.
get my credit right. I needed to
Hmm.
get my spirituality right. I needed to start looking the part, carrying myself a little different, a little better, a little
Hmm.
more professional, all of those things. I got to
Yeah.
plug up. Um, and so I had to get right so that when he showed up,
Yeah.
I was feeling confident about bringing something to the table.
Come
You know what I
on,
mean?
Angel. Yes.
So do that.
Yeah.
If you're hoping to be in love again and all that wonderful good stuff, get
Hmm.
ready now. No, why
Yeah.
wait? Yeah.
Right. And I think that is so key, and it takes responsibility. You know what I mean? So it's not just sitting back waiting for the man to bring this to the table. Who am I being and what am I bringing to the table? And if I'm not satisfied with that, let me do the stuff that I need to do to get prepared on my end. And that's amazing, because a lot of times, you hear a lot of women just say, "Well, what is he doing for me?" But not really thinking about, well, what am I going to do for him? Am I coming to the table with all this debt that I got, or with all this baggage that I haven't healed from? What am I
Yeah.
really bringing to the table? And doesn't mean you have to be perfect. That's not what we're
No,
saying, but just look
no, that's
introspective,
all.
just be self-aware and just work on you. So that's so important. Hmm. That's good.
One of my friends just messaged me Second Kings. I'm trying to look it up.
uh Second Kings.
2 Kings 2:23. I don't know. He's watching, but he decided to private message me apparently instead of telling me.
Oh, instead of put it in the comments. See what you're talking about,
I
brother.
know.
But that's such good stuff. I think you're dropping a lot of jewels that people can learn from, and this is not just something that you read in a book. You're living this out, so you're seeing it happen for you and what can happen when we shift our mindset, shift our perspective, do the work, and really almost like you manifest it, you know, because you're doing it's coming out of you. So it's almost like you attract it to you, you know?
Isn't that beautiful that that's how God made the world work? That's how it works.
Yeah.
That's just how the world works. You know,
Hmm.
you get out of it what you put into it. Um,
Absolutely.
you get back what you give out, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So then the question that I want to ask those of you who are watching, if you're not happy with where things are, what are you putting out? You know, what are you doing? What work are you doing to come up with something differently? What are you doing? You know, you can't blame it on other people. I know you want to blame it on everybody else, but have you really looked at you to see what type of energy you're bringing into the world? And could it be that your energy, what you're getting, is because of what you're putting out, what's on the inside of you? So that's just something to think about. Because a lot of times we don't realize the stuff that we're putting out there, and we want to blame everybody else, but we're not willing to take that hard look at ourselves and say, hey, let me change some things about myself. You know.
I own it.
Mm-mm.
Absolutely, I own
Mm-mm-mm.
it.
So, let me see. Okay. So another thing that I wanted to talk about is just how you make time for things in your life, like work, real estate, business activities, your friends, your family. Tell us more about how you're able to balance everything that you have going on.
So it's a couple of, so I'm very, I guess I take a lot from what I learned in like business classes and things like that. And one thing is time blocking, um,
Mm-hmm.
where you literally you block out time for the things that are most important to you. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if anyone's seen the demonstration with the rocks, and
Mm-hmm.
you put all your big rocks in the jar.
Oh,
So
yeah. Mm-hmm.
those are the things that are of the utmost importance. You cannot ignore them. Those go
Mm-hmm.
in first.
Mm-hmm.
Then, you have pebbles, and you pour the
Mm-hmm.
pebbles in, and they fill in some of the space. And there's actually still room for more. You put in sand, and that's the
Mm-hmm.
next level of things that, of importance to you. And you pour in all the sand, you got that. And then
Mm-hmm.
even yet, there's still water. And so you put in all the water. So the thing about it is learning about what are your priorities. And I
Mm-hmm.
had to make a determination that there were some people or some things in my life that were a priority, and I needed to time block specifically for those things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the thing is, it's a blessing and a curse, because if something accidentally didn't make it on my calendar, then it does
Oh.
not exist. So that's also a thing. It's kind of a
Yeah.
handicap as well.
Yeah.
But that's literally how I do it. Like I would put go visit my teeny mom or go visit my grandmom in my calendar. I would
Mm-hmm.
put on my calendar, go see my mom, call, my little sister, call my dad, whatever is the case.
Mm-hmm.
I have with my man, we have a standing date. So every week we are together. I'm over his house now, so we can have dinner and stuff. Every week we have a night,
Mm-hmm.
and come hella high water, we're gonna be together
Mm-hmm.
on that night of the week. And if something happens, he has a gig or I have an appointment or whatever, then we'll either do it the day before or the day after. But every week we have our standing date, and then we have standing dates to go to church together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the calendar has been of the utmost importance. Now
Mm-hmm.
with my good girlfriends, all of our calendars are equally as busy. So
Exactly.
sometimes we schedule in a month or two out, but I
Oh, yeah.
put them on. And like traveling is the number. Traveling might be more important than my family. I whispered that. Did y'all
Whisper
hear
it
me?
like,
It's a secret. Um, so I
oh,
plan my I plan my travel before everything else. Um, that gets on the calendar, and if I have to shift some things, I will. But that is the biggest thing, like knowing what your priorities, and you gotta legit decide you're not gonna let something else, come into to jeopardize that.
yeah, yeah. So it's like setting the priorities, putting it in your calendar and sticking to it and not being so, moving things around, but just saying, hey, this is time for this. I have this allotted. This is for you. you know, which is why I know it really bothers you when people don't value your time, you know, when people are
Yeah.
late or it just
That's
burns
a
your.
pet peeve of mine. Cause
Uh-huh.
I am punctual like a mug. Like
Yeah.
a mug. I'm sorry, that's a Prince George's County term.
No,
Um,
that's
I, I am very punctual. I don't play with the time
yeah.
situation. So yes,
You
that is a pet peeve of mine. People don't respect that. But even like, um, even if you're at work and you're like,
mhm.
all right, this is my time to answer emails, or this is my time to invoice, or whatever it is you're doing.
Mhm.
Don't answer the phone. Don't open the door. Don't have your door open for people to bust in and give you all of their crap they're dealing with at the time. You got to
Mhm.
block the time and be
Block it.
committed to it. That's
Yeah.
your boundary. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I'm reading a book right now on boundaries.
Mhm.
And you got to stick to your boundaries. And people will begin. You have to train them, but they will
Yeah.
begin to respect your boundaries.
Absolutely. Because if you keep telling them no, they're gonna stop asking you after a while. They're like, okay, she might be
Right.
serious about this. No.
Right.
So
Seriously. I
yeah.
have a girlfriend that's like her husband goes out every other Thursday or something like that, and she commits to staying home with the kids. Don't ask her to do something on that Thursday because she
Mhm.
committed to having the boundary of being home with her children so her husband can have his guy time or whatever is the case. You
Mhm.
know?
Mhm. Yeah. And that takes discipline and self-control, you know, and just
It
practicing it because it may not come right away if you're used to just kind of living freely and just allowing people to overstep those boundaries, or even if you've never had boundaries, you know, it takes practice to
it does.
put those boundaries in place. But it can happen. You know, you can have a life where you have it designed the way you desire for it to be, and it doesn't have to be people, you know, constantly dumping stuff on you. If you don't want that, you don't have to answer the phone like you said. You don't have to entertain that. This not on my schedule for right now. No, my time is blocked out for me today, so I'm not, you know, entertaining or doing anything else. So I think that's so key, and that's good stuff. Hmm. So so yeah, so we talked about that as far as you traveling and just enjoying your life. So we have 8 more minutes left. What would you want to say to the people? Just if you had to have like last words to leave with people who are watching, what comes to mind?
um So the again my message is that I believe in love, and I believe that if you love, you will get love. And it
Mm,
does take practice, and it does take work and all of that wonderful stuff, because there are people that they make it hard to love
yeah,
them. They really
yeah,
do.
that's Lord.
Um, but it's a
Mm.
decision and it's a choice. I
Mm,
have even family members that are really close to me that they make it real hard.
mm,
But you know what? I made a decision
mm,
that I want to love them, and it
mm-hmm,
really is um, that plain. You make a
mm-hmm,
decision
yeah,
and then you do. So I do believe that love is a verb. Love is an action word.
mm-hmm,
So you have to show people, that you love them. And if that means, I believe in love languages as well. So you can study how people receive love the best, and then
mm-hmm,
go with that. But you got to show people that you love them. And with all this happening right now in this
mm,
world and this time, and with all of these, you know, crazy shooters that are going
mm-hmm,
on. I was in Vegas when the guy was shooting up the people at the country music concert. Just
mm,
like, you don't know, you could be walking down the street and be
yeah,
taken out.
yeah,
And what if somebody didn't know you loved them?
yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I mean, life's
mm-hmm,
too short to be out here spreading this hate. Just get on board. Just do it. You know what I
yeah,
mean? It's enough to be sad about and mad about and all of that.
mm-hmm,
Choose happiness. Choose love.
mm-hmm.
And go with that. You know,
Yeah.
that's my parting gift.
Yeah, and you know what is important about that too, what I hear is just loving for the sake of loving, not to get anything in return. Because I think there's a difference in that where like a genuine kind of love, not a reciprocal love where I'm doing this because I'm really looking for you to give me something back.
Mm-mm.
But what you're talking about is a pure, genuine love that, you know, you are valuable as a person, so let me love on you. You were created as a human being, so let me give you a gift and I'm not expecting anything back. And
Yeah.
just the man, it's so amazing, and it opens up so much for us to receive because we're just not expecting it. You know what I mean? It just opens you up for, man, okay, I just wanted to do that for the sake of doing that. And man, look at all these things, I've gotten from that. Just how my life has been enriched, even if it's just seeing that person smile, like, man, that really made their day, and that makes me happy. So,
But by
yeah,
default, that's the thing though. Even though you're not doing it to get some, you shouldn't or aren't doing it to get something out of it or get something back.
yeah,
By default, it's returned to you because that is how God made the universe.
absolutely.
People talk
Yeah,
about you reap and sow, that's
yeah,
biblical, or
yeah.
karma, that's
Mm,
that's whatever you call worldly or whatever is the case.
mm,
Every religion, spirituality, whatever has a word for it, and it's real. So if you're putting out evil, you're getting it back. If you're putting out love, by default, you're getting it back. You don't have to do a whole bunch of work for it or connive and sneak and, be manipulative. Just
mhm.
put out good old fashioned, genuine love, and
Yeah,
it's coming back to
and watch it come back. Come on, Angel. You have blessed my soul today. And I
you.
know a lot of people have really benefited from all the beautiful things that you had to share. And I think you have enlightened people too, just to be able to see things from a different perspective, to be a student of your life, be a student of dating, is that if that's what you choose to do, but become a student so that you can learn, get all the information that you can, and start applying that to your life and watch how differently things can be for you in whatever way, that may mean. So thank you for sharing, your life with us and you as a gift, because I know people have been blessed by this
Thank
conversation.
you. It's
Hmm.
most certainly been my pleasure. I was so nervous, girl. I wrote notes and all kinds of stuff. So I
I know
appreciate your encouragement.
you were like, wait, hold up, what we gonna talk about?
Right. But I
Oh,
appreciate it. I'm glad I
thank
got a your platform is amazing. I
you.
appreciate what you do. I watch all the time. And you are definitely walking in your purpose and walking in your gift. I thank you for what you have done for me in my life. You are an integral part of how I've gotten to the peace that I have today. So thank you so much. I love you.
Wow, thank you. I love you too. Thank you. Oh, don't make me cry. I ain't trying to cry on the end.
My bad.
No, but I appreciate and I receive all the love that you just poured out. Thank you. So thank y'all for tuning in. We're about to close this out, but I want to tell you that I do this every Wednesday. So continue to tune in because I have special guests every Wednesday. You never know who it's going to be. And it's just people, it doesn't have to be a celebrity or anything like that. We're just real people living real lives and just wanting to share that with others. So thank you for tuning in and continue to tune in. Share it with your friends so that this platform can grow and that people's lives can be enriched and we can just spread love instead of all this hatred and other foolishness that's going on in the world. So have a good night. Enjoy your night with your boo thing, and I will see you
Love
back.
you, Nina.
That's mean it.
Right?
All right.
Bye.
Bye.